Afternoon, guys. Dr. Ken Nordberg here again. A couple little seminars I'd like to present for you guys this afternoon. And you know, when I introduced my whitetail sign guides, the track guide, we talked about that quite a bit, but I promised to go back and talk about several of these cards. And I'd like to just mention a few things about tracks, whitetail tracks, in this card. You know, if you didn't do anything more in the world than learn how to identify whitetails by the length of their tracks, you could still be a pretty darn good buck hunter. You know, it's to us, you know, us Nordbergs, when we're walking in the woods, nothing is more important. Well, we're walking, like say we're heading off to a tree stand in the morning, in the dark, or a ground level stand in the dark, and all of a sudden we come across some really big tracks in the snow. And we've been doing this so many years, gee, I guess, well, since the 1970s, that we are pretty good at judging the size of tracks without measuring them. And we're correct. But you know, it's a source of a lot of excitement too. You know, it's hard to beat. You know, here you are, you're heading to a stand, dark in the morning, and you come along these tracks, and they're obviously the track part alone, the hoof part alone they're 4 inches long. That's a big buck. I mean, that's kind of every hunter dreams about. Never seen this buck. Haven't had a glimpse of him. He might have lived here for the last 4 or 5 years, but he was smaller in previous years. But now he's at his height and size and weight. He's probably a dominant breeding buck. And look, he's dragging his hoofs from track to track. And you know, knowing things like that, you say, oh my gosh, that's a huge buck, and he's dragging his hoofs, meaning he's smelling right now. Where when he was right here, he could smell a doe in heat, and he's heading right toward a doe in heat. That's where he's going. He's downwind. I was traveling into the wind in the first place to get to this point, and I was going to a feeding area because 9 times out of 10, that's where I hunt. And feeding areas, natural ones in the woods and clear cuts. We have no farm fields where we hunt, but that could be a case too where you hunt. But so what that means is that buck is with a doe in heat in that feeding area up ahead right now. Now that is exciting if you're a whitetail hunter. If you know that, absolutely, positively sure of that. And that's what comes with being able to identify whitetails by the lengths of their tracks. 5 different categories of whitetails, from fawns to the great big guys in our area weighing 300 pounds, a little over 300 pounds. Not uncommon for our dominant breeding bucks. That's exciting. Well, another thing that goes with that is, like I just said, gee, he was dragging his feet for track to. Look what I found out right there and how exciting that information is. Plus the fact that it's almost certain that's where that buck is right now with that doe in heat right up ahead here where I was heading this morning. Now, if I didn't know all that, I'd walk along, oh, there's a deer track, and I didn't realize this buck was reacting to the smell of doe and ester pheromone. It wouldn't mean much to me. Maybe I wouldn't be as careful. But you know, when you're suddenly aware of things like that, you become much more careful about what you're doing. You take many more precautions than you would normally take if you weren't thinking, I would like to get this buck, and you know it's going to take a lot of precautions to make that happen. All of a sudden, I'm being very careful, I'm being very skilled, I'm doing all the things I know I can do that really improve my chances for arriving at my stand side ahead. And as soon as it starts getting light, there's the buck. That's the dream. And it doesn't happen every time. There's reasons for that. But it happens once or twice for each of my sons and I every hunting season, sometimes more. My son Ken, it seems to happen to him more than anyone in our group. But it happens often enough so you can take a lot of bucks, practically one nice mature buck every year, knowing things like that. If you didn't know that, if you didn't recognize signs like that, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be as careful, for one thing, as thorough. Now, there's other things on the back side, the tip side of the card, I should mention. Like, for example, here's this buck. He's walking. Normally, like this big buck, he's walking. His tracks will be about 18 inches apart, and the right tracks and the left tracks will be well on each side of a line going down the middle. Our golden retriever here, Cody, is doing a dance on the floor right in front of me. He's got to be here when I do this stuff. But anyway, he's walking. Now, what else does that mean? He's not alarmed. If he was alarmed, he'd be making tracks like these next two sets. Here's one where they're trotting. That's a common way for a buck to move fast out of an area in a controlled way. His tracks might be 5-6 feet apart when he's trotting. He's really moving, but he's straight down. He's not bounding up and down, crashing through brush, landing on sticks. He's not doing that. He's going straight, very straight down the line. And all those tracks will be wide apart, and they're spaced. They're all touching this one straight line. They're right all in the middle. And each track here is made by both the front and hind foot on either side of the buck. So you're only seeing half the tracks that the buck could be making when he's walking now or trotting like that. Well, that buck is alarmed. He's darn alarmed. And he's probably still going. He probably had disturbed him or something else did, maybe a wolf or something, or another hunter, but he's still going. And chances are, if you see that, that's a disappointing thing to find in the woods. It probably means you won't see that buck this year. He's gone for the season. This thing about bucks, I've learned the hard way that older bucks, they have a lot of experience. By the time we get to a buck, a really big one, with those 4-inch tracks, it's 4.5 to 6.5 years of age. They're in their absolute prime at age 5.5. By that time, he's been chased off range enough, so he knows all kinds of safe places to go to within an area the size of a township, 36 square miles. I found this to be true for several really big bucks over the years, beginning way back in the 1970s. I've had big bucks lead me into the worst stuff in an area that large. And finally I said, I never want to do that again. Okay, tracks similar to that are the next one in the row on the back. These are the J or C shaped formations of a bounding deer. Big buck like I was talking about. His C or J track formations can be anywhere from 15 to 25 feet apart. I mean, he's really clipping. He can jump from here to the other end of this room and then some, and pass over things 8 feet tall in the process. And that's amazing when you think a 300-pound deer able to fling himself through the air like that. Well, that buck's gone for the season too. Your hunting should be designed to keep you from hardly ever seeing a trotting or bounding buck. You don't want bucks to raise their tails, fan their tails, raise them, and move away very rapidly. That's destructive hunting, ruinous hunting. If you want to be a buck hunter, you don't want that to happen. That's where all those precautions, I talked about 30-some precautions come into you know, those are made to keep that sort of thing from happening. So you know about that. This next set of tracks are made by a feeding deer. And they walk irregular, and they commonly zigzag over this way and then back over this way. And hind prints are outside of the track of the front prints, and they're all over them. And so this kind of track is a wonderful track. This is, when a deer is feeding like that, he's not alarmed either. He has no idea there's any danger out, although it might be on guard for that. But those are good tracks. That's good information to know. A feeding deer is not alarmed when it's making tracks. Now, the last set on this back of the card are the ones I talked about earlier, about the buck dragging his hoofs from track to track in the snow. And now you know all about that. But you see how important a simple thing like this, a simple knowledge that deals with a card like this, being able to identify all the deer in the woods by the length of their tracks. You know, gee, that was a yearling doe, or this was a yearling, I think this one was a yearling buck. Well, yearling bucks are about the same size as mature does, about 140, sometimes 150 pounds, about the same size. But there's a set of tracks there, and the tracks are only about 3 to 3.1 inch long. And those over there, there's little tracks. They're 2.5, say. That's a doe with a fawn. That's a doe for sure. Now, let's say all this knowledge now you've got in your head, and you're walking in the woods, and it's snow, like we have snow in Minnesota a lot, sometimes not. But anyway, let's just say there's some tracks over there. And without going over there, when you get really used to this, you say, oh, those are about 3 inches long, which means it could be a mature doe, or it could be a yearling buck that made those tracks. But over there, next to those tracks are some smaller ones, let's say 2.5 inches long. Well, it's a doe for sure because it's got a fawn with it. How you know that? Gee, that's a fawn and a maternal doe. If it was alone, it might be a yearling buck. They're alone a lot in the fall, although they keep returning to their mothers during November especially. But anyway, but let's say here's 3-inch tracks, and he's dragging his hoofs from trap to trap. Well, that's a yearling buck, and he's smelling a doe in heat. See? Okay, so you see how important just a few simple facts that you've got memorized, what they can do for you as a hunter. They're the foundation for regular buck hunting success. These are things worth knowing and learning. These are worth measuring a lot in the woods. So that's how important something like that is. My boys and I, well, I don't even think, but I remember all the years I spent measuring tracks of live and dead deer to come up with all these measurements. But I can't imagine deer hunting without that knowledge, or buck hunting without that knowledge. Okay, so that's about it for this card, and a lot more, you know. There's a lot more to learn about tracks as well. You know, and like I said before, you'll find them, you know, this is your ultimate source of such information. You'll find those things in this book, you know. So, and like, you know, you might, maybe a half hour from now you'll be saying, well, what's that measurement again? Well, you'll find it. You'll find those kind of things in this book, no problem at all, for the rest of your life, you know. This will get you to the point where you don't have to keep looking back anymore eventually. So, okay. Well, thanks guys for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel before you leave. Go down there and check on that red button. I appreciate that. And if you like what you just heard, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Poke that thing, that little button as well. And that's something that's good for me. Okay, thanks a lot guys, and we'll see you again soon. Be sure to visit my website. Here's the link. Here you'll find links to my blog posts, my Twitter account, my YouTube account, my Amazon store with links to my ebooks, my son's eBay store, a money saver if you're ordering from Canada or other countries, my website bookstore, and much more.